This woman gave birth to 17 rabbits and 1 cat, and I'm going to tell you how that happened. This is the curious case of Mary Toft. 1720 is the year. Mary Toft is 20 years old and she marries a bloke called Joseph Toft. Whilst they are together, they have 3 healthy children. And then in 1726, when Mary is 25 years old, disaster strikes. Mary, unfortunately, has a miscarriage whilst carrying her 4th child. This was not something that was uncommon at the time. It's the 1700s. Miscarriages are probably the least of people's concern. This is quite, unfortunately, a regular occurrence. But what is peculiar is that once she has the miscarriage, it appears that there's small, unidentified remains within the miscarriage. It seems like there's animal parts in there, which is absolutely bonkers. So Mary and her husband Joseph, they go to their neighbour, who's a farmer. He comes in to investigate what is actually in the miscarriage. And he says, you know what? Call me crazy, but it seems like that's a rabbit foot in your miscarriage. So Mary and Joseph, not to be confused, by the way, with the Mary and Joseph, the biblical Mary and Joseph, different couple altogether. They start asking around some local midwives to come check it out and give their opinion on why Mary appears to have given birth to a rabbit foot. They are all bamboozled. None of them can figure out what's going on, except for one midwife, a gentleman called John, 30 years of experience. He's the one to go to with all your birth concerns. He says, baloney. This can't be true. This has to be fake. And then the very next day, the same thing happens. She once again has a miscarriage. And this time, not only is it clearly rabbits that are coming out of her, but it's also a cat. So they enlist the services of a very well-known, very reputable surgeon who comes to the conclusion that Mary is dreaming of animals, and because she's dreaming of animals, she's growing them inside of her and then giving birth to them. Basically, she had a dream about a cat and then she gave birth to a cat. She likes rabbits and she's been dreaming of rabbits, so she's given birth to rabbits, and that was the conclusion that was drawn. Word got out around London and she became the talk of the town, not just the town, she became the talk of the entirety of London and everywhere else where else people heard, because hey, this woman was giving birth to rabbits and a cat, and it just kept happening. She kept doing it. She kept picturing rabbits. She would go sleep, she would wake up, she would have a miscarriage, and rabbits would come out. And they weren't just bits anymore, but these rabbits were like, some of them were half alive, jumping around for hours. Some of them were just completely dead, but nevertheless, these were rabbits she was giving birth to. This even got the attention of the king at the time, and the king's personal surgeon said that he was going to look into it and invited her to London so they could look after her. This is where things start going downhill for Mary Toft. Whilst in London, she starts failing to give birth to rabbits. And then one surgeon who says, I can't believe this whole story has to be wackadoodle, starts looking more into the family history and starts realising that whilst this whole thing has been going on, Joseph Toft, Mary's husband, remember, not to be confused with the biblical Joseph, he's been purchasing on the side a lot of rabbits, and he comes to the conclusion that Mary is not giving birth to rabbits and that she's probably inserting her own rabbits inside of her. Now this whole thing starts to snowball when we find out that one of the porters was bribed to bring her a small rabbit when she was staying in London, right? But they didn't do it. But they was asked to bring the rabbit. And then slowly, more people start speaking up, and she finally comes clean. And it turns out what Mary Toft was actually doing was just getting small rabbits and putting them up herself, and then telling everyone she could give birth to rabbits. As the story goes, a traveller told her that she would find great wealth if she put a small animal up her, hoo-ha. She did it. She didn't get wealthy. It popped back out. And then her and Joseph concocted this wackadoodle plan, this wackadoodle idea that they should tell everyone that she can give birth to rabbits for some attention and possibly a bit of money. And that's the story of Mary Toft.